Yeah, I'm all out of white lithium, so this should work. I'm gonna have to go get some. And this probably comes off all the way. Yep, that's our oscillator control knob right here. I'll get this cleaned up so it looks more decent. That's about as clean as I'm gonna get this oscillator. I even managed to get one of the gears out. Just gotta put the gear back in. By giving these things proper maintenance every so often, you're pretty much guaranteeing that this thing will be around for as long as it's needed. I mean, it's not a maintenance-free unit because this thing was designed to last. Okay, that's on. You just work it right down in there so that way it gets on all the gears and moving surfaces in here. It's important it gets on all these surfaces so that it lubricates them well. Later it gets real stiff and old like it was. Sometimes the oscillators will work really slow and it puts more stress on the motor. So by putting fresh grease in here, it takes away some of the stress from the motor. I like using white lithium grease, but I didn't have any left. Eventually that grease will settle down into the rest of the gears, but you just kind of push it down in there with the screwdriver like that. And well, that's that. Now I can clean up the oscillator knob and clean off the gasket on the cover right there and put it all back together again and see what happens. This is the same steel wool that I used to clean up the cage. Steel wool will work good on hard chrome surfaces like that, as long as it's fine steel wool like this. You don't want the real coarse stuff because you'll risk scratching it. And you don't want to press down real hard, you just want to lightly rub it like that. Okay, we're all cleaned up, back together again. We're ready to reinstall the rear bullet cover. Alright. Gotta line up the screws, which is hard to do one-handed. Alright. There's that. And I just tighten up the 2 screws. And that is it. There's our screw on this side. And we have one last step to check. While I'm thinking of it, I know some people don't know how to wall mount these. To mount these on a wall, what you want to do, there's a screw right here. You want to take the screw out. Take this jam nut here out, this wing nut, and then you're going to take that metal piece right there that pivots. You're going to take that right out of the base and flip it around backwards. And then you put that screw back in, you put this jam nut back in, and it will work. And what it will do is it will flip the motor around so it faces the fan's front of the cage will be on this side, and then you can tilt it back, and this switch will be facing the ground. So the base will be like that when it's on the wall, so that way you can access the switch. For your convenience, obviously. And now on to that last step. Now this fan, I know this because it was set up for wall mounting when I brought it home. I'm going to loosen, there's a screw right here. It should pop right off. Okay, there's a ball bearing up in there and I want to grease it. See, there's that thing I mentioned you pull out of the base. Now to wall mount the fan, you put the base on like this. So that way the front of the base right here, which normally faces the front of the cage, is on the back. And then you tilt it up just like this. So the fan's facing out into the room. And the switch right here by my fingers is facing the floor. And then for regular mount, you just put the base around so the switch faces the back of the fan. That's pretty simple, straightforward. So here's the screw. The wing nut thing stays on the side, you just loosen it up a little bit. And now, I'm going to see if I can get this thing back off. I had it off earlier. Oh, there we go. And right up in there is a ball bearing that these older high quality fans like Westinghouse and GE, they often put ball bearings up into there so that way the fan would pivot nice and smoothly. And I've got some spray on white lithium grease. You don't want to use this in the oscillator, but it'll be good for this. And there we have it. And now this right here, you want this facing the back of the fan. This will slide right back up on the shaft. And it's only going to go in one way. Just like that. Alright, now I just gotta find what I did with the little Allen screw I took out. Or actually, it's just a jam screw. That's going to go right back in like that. And tighten it with the screwdriver. And that's that. And now I can put it all back together again. Oh, here's this fan's particular tag. It says Westinghouse. I don't even know the model. This is a 1955 vintage. Okay. Ready for testing. Okay, forgot to mention, I also added a couple drops of the same oil, this 3-in-1 electric motor oil, to the oscillator. Just maybe about 4 or 5, not too many. Not so much where it overflows or anything, just about 4 or 5 little drops is all it needs. Just to kind of give the grease a little bit of extra lubricating properties so it doesn't bind the motor up. Now I'm going to lock it in the non-oscillating position, which is by turning this knob here counterclockwise. One click is high. And on high speed, this thing is really powerful. I'm going to come all the way over here, a good maybe 10 feet away, and it is putting out quite a breeze. Or 10 feet away or so, and it was putting out quite a breeze. We're going to click it another notch. That'll bring us to medium. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but this is a 4-pole shaded pull motor. So when it runs on medium and low, there's a resistor inside the base right about here, and it's going to get warm. That's okay. That's normal. All it is doing is, it's like a heating element on your stove. That's just the large resistor. And what it does is it causes a voltage drop, and the voltage going to the motor as it passes through the resistor is dropped to a lower voltage, so that way the motor will run at a slower speed. And that's how these older systems work on some of these older fans. That's medium, and I'll drop it down to low. Nice and quiet on low. Turn the oscillator on by turning this knob clockwise until it starts going. I'll kick it back up to high. Actually, I'd say this thing works really good. So, see y'all later.